Firstly, I'd like to say a big thanks to Mark and Ethan for creating Unus Annus. It's been a whole roller coaster of a year, and for me personally it has been a tough one as well. It was nice to have something to wait forward to every day. It's kinda crazy how attached you can get to a channel, but I love and respect the idea of deleting it after a year has passed. I will keep Unus Annus in my memory and in my heart. Memento Mori.
Unus Annus, Unus Annus.
I start by doing light guidelines and shapes to navigate easier later on. I know you can't really see anything right now, but when you're doing a sketch you don't want to press hard and make a mess. Next I move straight to drawing. I start from left, so once again I wouldn't mess anything with my hand. I don't really use any construction lines and move by using references, values, and defining those. Traditional drawing is very different from digital for me. When I draw digitally, I use several layers for my sketches and start with all the construction stuff. Traditionally though, you can't do layers, which makes it harder. But then again, traditional art is easier in its own ways. You can see the whole paper at once and it makes it much easier to locate where which things is supposed to be. I tried to keep sketch as clean as possible from the beginning, so I erase everything useless as soon as possible. Electric eraser is very useful for details. Not gonna lie, Mark's face was a bit of a struggle for me at first. Well, not really a struggle, I just had to pay more attention because of his Asian genetics. Because of defining values, Mark looked like he had a proper mustache. I don't know about you, but it was a bit funny for me. I may have been tired though, it was like 2 AM. I don't know why, but placing Ethan's and Mark's bodies on paper was confusing. I had to stop and think for a moment. They looked weird standing so close, cause in the reference there is much bigger gap between them. It might have been because of a bigger paper format as well. I don't think I have done any proper pieces on A2 paper before. Fun fact, I really love drawing hands. That's what I usually draw to relax. I decided to redraw this first attempt. It wasn't turning out too bad, but the perspective was a bit off. I thought it would be easier, faster and cleaner to start over. And that's the sketch done. Next step is the actual painting. My lovely relative brought me these acrylics from Russia. Even though I have used them a few times already, I'm still not fully used to them. This paint has more pigment than my previous ones, which is great, I'm just not used to mixing them. And immediately I failed by having too dark shade for Ethan's skin. This whole video will be just me doing infinite amount of layers to get those right shades. After base layer, I moved to defining lights and shadows. I added a lot of white to fix the orangeness of his face. I keep adding shadows with a smaller brush to have more control over the process. I did a layer of water with a hint of white paint and then added some color to make him look less dead. Moving on to details. I'm still working on the skin and I added smaller highlights. I may have colored Ethan's eyes darker brown at first, but then I realized that they were supposed to be lighter like hazel, so while paint was still wet, I erased it with a tissue. Getting the right tone for the lips was harder than I expected, but it turned out well. At this point, Ethan looks like Aidan Gallagher, and I don't know how that happened. Dark hair is relatively easy to paint, especially with this kind of soft lining like in the reference. You can just smash the colors on the paper and wiggle the brush a bit. If there is anything I love more than drawing hands, it's painting hands. Also this time I got somewhat correct base color. For me, painting is just a repetitive process of adding shadows and lights slowly over and over. Ethan's suit was actually easy to do since it's just black. By using water I already got most of the light parts done. I added a layer of white and grey to make it look better, but it happened off camera because it was charging and I really wanted to move on. Mark's suit, on the other hand, was pain. I absolutely did not expect it to be so hard. It's probably because it's white. I assume it would have been easier if I had done a white base layer, but I didn't want to use much white paint, so I went through some struggle. Actually, last time I have drawn a white suit was a while ago, and it was a digital painting which you can find on my Instagram. It was still very hard to get it right. Once again, you can tell that I'm not used to these acrylics. I started too light with the base this time, but it's better off this way. After the base, I move straight to the shadows. After that, once again, to lights. And the process repeats, going more and more detailed. At this point, I wanted to scream. It was bothering me a lot, but when that happens, all you can do is just let it dry first and then cover it with the other color, in my case white. After some time, I realized that Mark's skin tone is turning too pale, so I added some pigment to show his tan. And went back to repeating the same old process of lights and shadows. Mark's face looked very odd to me until I added facial hair. I don't know why though, cause obviously I have seen him shaved. It got me worried for a second that I possibly failed the painting, but I think most artists get that feeling every now and then. I did base for the hands along with the face this time. As I'm adding some extra color with the shadows, I tried to avoid veins to fasten the process a bit, but also make it look better. After a few final touches, this is the final product. It was fun and I got some good practice, and I definitely want to do more big paintings. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, maybe give this video a like. If you're interested in more similar content, consider subscribing. I can't promise regular uploads though, unfortunately, because of school and such, but I will try to upload as often as possible.